Hey, how are you?
Great, good. How are you doing?
Awesome. Just to start, huge fan of Spring. I recommend it every year to everybody. It's an all-time favorite. I always do a countdown of my favorite Halloween movies. It's always on the list every year. So it's wonderful to
Thank
meet you
you.
too.
Yeah.
That is so
Yesterday was
cool.
the first day of spring, and so we normally get like a tiny little bump in viewership. It's very fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm the rest of the year. Um, so very excited to talk to you. This show is so crazy. And the two episodes that you guys are responsible for, I don't want to give away any spoilers, obviously, but I cannot wait for people to get to the end of that fourth episode just because it seems almost like a game changer. Did you come in specifically with these two episodes in mind, or how did you split up the duties and get these two stories?
Oh, wow, good question. Uh, you know, believe it or not, uh, these episodes were at a certain point developed independently of us, but by some huge, gigantic cosmic coincidence, they just happened to be almost the exact same tone of our movies, like Spring or like The Endless. Um, and we were very lucky because we've been wanting to obviously work with Marvel for a really long time, and to have this thing come along that was like a tailor-made suit for us almost, but truly coincidentally, that was
Yeah.
very special.
And with the nature of this character having kind of those darker roots compared to some of the other Marvel characters, was it always in the back of your mind to make this not necessarily gritty, but different from the way that we've seen other characters in the MCU?
Without a doubt, we wanted to make absolutely sure that he was really complex. We were never told to steer away from the darkness. We could always make him a darker and darker character. And for us, it's not darkness for darkness's sake. It's that shades of gray are way more interesting to explore. We feel like nobody on Earth is purely evil and nobody is purely good, and everybody's somewhere in between. So it's not just Moon Knight's character and the characters that Oscar is playing, but also Layla and Harrow, especially Harrow as a villain. He's so sympathetic and charismatic, and his argument could make sense if you listen to it for long enough, and all of that. And so that was something that was kind of a North Star for us, is just making sure that if we ever felt like we needed to do something purely for likability, we instead added a layer of complication. And I think that people just they grasp onto that because everyone feels like they themselves are quite complicated.
Absolutely. And I think that there's a levity here that's still kind of that trademark that we see in the MCU, where you can have the dark, but you can also have the light. Being on set, was this one of those exhausting experiences where, because you're filming on location, you're all over the place, you're not necessarily in that same studio on a set with a green screen for everything? Did you feel that darkness in the off camera, I should say, or was it a light set to be on, I guess is my question.
Oh, good question. Yeah, it was always a really light set to be on. I
Yeah.
mean, everyone was so kind, and luckily we didn't get just literally the best actors in the world. We got the best collaborators in the world. And then also luckily, I mean, all we've been doing for over the last decade is telling these types of stories that have a really dense layer of darkness, but simultaneously there's always this human levity that goes along with that. And we've just been in it for so long, we just don't know anything else.
Mm-hmm. It's funny. The only time that the mood would shift on set, and it wouldn't even go like good to bad, it would just become different, is when Oscar would switch from Steven to Mark, or vice versa. That could actually always mark a mood shift, because they're just incredibly different characters. And Mark's brooding nature is always something that takes the air out of the room a little bit. Of course, underneath that, he's still Oscar and is a very kind, giving person. But it was very interesting to think about how your day was going to go based on if he was Steven or Mark, and try to make sure that you capture that lightning in the bottle in the proper way.
Those transitions in character that Oscar had, they were so profound and just so different that on the first days, I wondered if he was applying prosthetics between the switchovers.
And it's noticeable. It's awesome. Like, they are completely distinct characters. And was there ever, because in the comics there's other personalities as well, was there ever at any point where a different personality than these two that we see came out to play, so to speak?
I think you're going to have to wait and see for that one, right?
All right.
Yeah.
And along those same lines.
Well, it's funny because, we always had a real Oscar every day too.
Yeah.
So there's always
that's
that
true.
personality.
Yeah.
There's this real Oscar.
And interestingly, also his brother, Mike, was
Right.
playing opposite him when he had to perform with himself. And so it was like an extra Oscar in a way, but actually Mike's a pretty independent guy. So
Nice. And something that I noticed, because I think we've all gotten into the habit as viewers of these movies, looking for references to the other films, the other characters, and I tried really hard, maybe I have to go back and do it again, but I did not see any in these episodes. Was it an intentional decision to keep this separate from the rest of the MCU so that we're not seeing like a reference to Steve Rogers or Spider-Man or those kinds of things?
yeah, we were never given any mandate to integrate this into the MCU in any particular way. And it didn't seem like anyone was particularly interested in doing so, just because that basically the gloves would come off. We got to do whatever interesting, strange, bold idea came our way, so that we wouldn't have to constantly be trying to figure out how to dovetail it into a larger mythology. His mythology is already gigantic. And so, yeah, I think you are correct.
Okay. And if, without obviously having seen the final two episodes, and who knows what's going to come up, if you just on your own as fans and as creators, if you were able to pit Moon Knight against any other character in the MCU, who would it be?
Such a good question. I don't have, this is going to be an uninformed response that has no regard for the consequences of it. Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm. Blade.
That was my number two.
That was your number two?
That was my number two.
Yeah, I was thinking like, well, it's people who work at night, and there's something kind of interesting about it.
It's a pretty punk answer.
Yeah, it's fun. I'm sorry, I was stealing it from Peter.
I like that though. That's good.
Yeah.
And this is obviously not the end of your involvement with Marvel, with the next project that you have coming up. Did your experience on this inform what you're going to be doing there in any way?
Without a doubt. We learned more in the months that we were working on Moon Knight than you could actually possibly imagine. and we're going to be bundling all of that up and doing it all over again and even better with Loki. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, looking forward to it. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. Can't wait for everybody to check out the show, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, and welcome to Staying Awake.
I have a sleeping disorder. I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams.
Hello, and welcome to Staying Awake.
I think I'm losing it.
Real catch you are. You're bloody useless, Stevie.
Stephen. I can't tell the difference between life and dreams.
Thank you.
Lost the contact lens.
Hope you find it.
Thanks. Now hold the phone. Yeah.
Oh my God, you're alive. What's wrong with you, Mark?
Why did you call me Mark? It must be very difficult. The voice in your head. Shut up! There's chaos in you. Embrace the chaos.